Ready? All right, guys ready? Good evening. Welcome to Planning and Zoning meeting for Thursday, January 2nd, 2025. Doesn't look like we have any public hearings for this evening. So we'll move in right into the commission meeting, and the first order of business will be election of officers.
Currently, you have Rich Barton as chairman, Scott Costello as vice chairman, and Cheryl Cullum as secretary.
I'll nominate Rich Barton to remain as chairman.
I'll second.
Can we think about it? Anybody else have a nomination? No? Hearing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Entertainment for
Are you
vice
gonna
chair?
vote? I didn't hear you vote.
I didn't hear vote. I abstained. Okay, so have nomination for vice chair.
Make nominations, Scott Costello, Vice Chair.
A motion by Mr. Dieterman, second by Mr. Miller to nominate Scott Costello as vice chair. Anybody under nominations? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear one. Doesn't count. And since Cheryl's not here, she automatically wins. That's the way the rule states in the bylaws. So, all in favor of Cheryl Cullum as secretary, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Next order of business will be the minutes from the December the 5th, 2024 meeting.
Make motion to approve the minutes from the December 5, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting as submitted.
Second that.
I have a motion by Mr. Costello, second by Mr. Cooper to approve the minutes as submitted. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yeah.
Ms. Cullum is absent. Mrs. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Jason Cullum is absent. Mr. Barton?
Yes.
And Mr. Durbin is absent.
Motion passes 7-0 with 3 absent. Next order of business will be public comments. Do we have any this evening? Anybody step to the podium, state your name.
I'm Donna Bungie, and I'm here with my brother, Dr. Brian Hartnagel. We're representing my mother, Barbara Hartnagel, as the owners of the property that's being on the agenda this evening.
Okay.
And I just want to bring a few important items to your attention when considering approval of this application for site plan. The first being that plan dated November 11th, 2024, filed by the applicant, Warrenton Tobacco and Vapor Plus, Incorporated, stating that the owner is Hartnagel Joint Revocable Living Trust, has the phone number and the email of Warrenton Oil. It does not have my contact number and my email. I am the executor of my mother's estate. My dad passed last year in January. And then also the landlord estoppel certificate that's dated February 23rd, 2023, signed by my parents, acknowledging the existing tenant, who at the time was Taylor Incorporated, has agreed to assign the lease to Warrenton Oil, and that the lease has a current expiration date of April 17th, 2027, and has no remaining options to extend the lease. And that's paragraph 7 of the estoppel certificate. And lastly, the landlord's consent to lease assignment, also dated February 23rd, 2023, signed by my parents, acknowledging consent to the assignment of the lease to Warrenton Oil, and that the assignment will not sublet, transfer, or further assign the premises or any part of the premises without the prior written consent of the landlord. We have not signed anything. As a matter of fact, Mom got the notice of this meeting in the mail. I got it last week and realized that, in fact, they were moving forward with this joint venture. And when I say joint venture, in actuality, it is a circumvent of the assignment that they can't sublease it. So we are in opposition of this going forward, and we just, currently, we have a letter of intent from a national sandwich shop, and that we are considering. We feel like that would have a much more positive impact on the community than another smoke or vape shop. And also our concerns are that they put in this joint venture agreement that it leaves it open to a plus. They added the plus onto it. So my representation, my attorney, after we talked, said, yeah, they're probably leaving that open so that they can get a liquor license, possibly a dispensary. And speaking from my own personal experience, this is a property that is going to be legacy. We never intend to sell this property. We're going to leave it for our children. I have 2 daughters and Brian has 2 daughters. And we just don't want, I'm sorry, we don't want Dad's legacy to be that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Any other public comments at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 4, the Warrenton Tobacco and Vapor Site Plan -179. Mr. John?
Good evening. The first and only item on the agenda tonight is the Warrenton Tobacco and Vapor Site Plan 179. The applicant's name is Warrenton Tobacco and Vapor. The location is north of Highway 70 and west of Highway 47 at 1001 North Highway 47. Project details, the total area of land is .41 acres. Current zoning is designated as C2 General Commercial District. The purpose for this application is to, they propose a Warrenton Tobacco and Vapor, and they seek a site plan approval to establish a 2,665 square foot tobacco and vape store in the empty building previously occupied by the mobile gas station. After staff review, per the report, all site plan items have been met and are consistent with our current code. Any questions for me? I'll attempt to answer them. If not, Bart with Lewis and Beatty is here to present on behalf of the applicant.
Thanks for being here, Bart. Go ahead.
For the record, Bart Corman with Lewis and Beatty Surveys and Engineers, 101 East Walton, Warrenton, Missouri. Mark Baker here with Warrenton Oil Company as well, who is under lease with this property. It's the old C-store there, basically proposing to sell similar stuff to the store did before, you know, cigarettes, vape equipment, or vape refills, things like that, and other general retail. Utilizing the existing building. Obviously, there's no gas pumps anymore. Doing that, Have 11 parking spaces required. We are adding the landscape requirements of 9 trees and 23 shrubs to meet the current landscape code, and pretty much keeping the building and the rest of it as is to utilize for the next couple of years during the lease. And I'll answer any questions anybody may have.
I guess my question.
If you have questions for him, sure. I mean, whether Bart's finished presenting or
Yeah.
not, I mean, we'll be able to ask all those questions during the open conversation. We're still in public hearing, right?
Nope, there is no public hearing. This is the open part.
This is
Is it?
So anybody got any questions for Bart right now? So do you have any comments, Mr. Attorney, about the things that were addressed tonight in the opening comments?
Not any specific comments other than that with the ownership issue, that's generally a private matter.
Right.
With respect to the job here, the commission is to consider the site plan as submitted for the use which is permitted within the district.
Thank you.
So this wouldn't be for Mr. Corman then, but, so, I understand the point it being a civil matter, that whether the existing lease prohibits sublease or whatever, it would appear to me we've got an out-of-state applicant who doesn't currently have rights to the property, as per Mrs. Bunge's commentary. So, how, I don't understand, I can't see my way clear to consider, much less approve, a site plan request that's brought by someone who has no legal claim to the property, or the use of it.
Right, and so the code requires that the applicant have a contractual property interest in the property, proprietary interest in the property. I'm not sure what the arrangement between Warrenton Oil and then the proposed operator of that property is. I just know that that was the name on the application, and pretty much at this point, I mean, again, that's more of a question of whether or not that person has the interest is the question in the civil matter.
Regardless of whether it's a civil matter or not, you know, virtually any of us are potential property owners. The idea that a non-owner that has no legal claim to use the property could come before the Planning and Zoning Commission and make requests for the property without even the knowledge of the property owner in advance is it's a concern to me.
Right, and I don't want to speak to the
Right.
conclusion of that this person has no interest, because I don't know, I haven't reviewed any of the documents or anything with respect to that.
Well, I find it interesting that the applicant identified the owner and listed apparently the owner's registered legal address, but then directed all communication and contact information to the current tenant. I find that suspect. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. There is no chance I would possibly vote for something like this. It's a mess. I don't know what the rest of you feel.
Well, yeah.
My opinion is if the tenant and the applicant would like some time to try and work out whatever the underlying issues are with the property owners, if possible, I'm willing to consider tabling it. But beyond that, there's nothing that's going to convince me that this should move forward.
Right, and that would be an appropriate action if the commission wishes to table this to allow that to be explored.
I don't see how we can move forward at all for any consideration until this issue's taken care of.
Mr. Corman?
Yeah, well, and so my question would be, you know, we can move forward to table and give you and the applicant time to work through these issues. Or if you prefer that we press it to a vote, we can press it to a vote and then just see what happens.
Well, I feel like we should probably vote because, our rights are being restricted by the property owner. We have a legal document, a lease, that allows us to sell the items that we're proposing moving forward. So I don't really understand what the P&Z's position is as a board, approving a site plan when this is a civil matter, not really to be addressed tonight with P&Z. So I guess instead of pushing, kicking the can down the road, maybe we take a vote and, I feel like our rights are being denied. We're not doing anything that's not allowed. It hasn't been done with the historical use of this property for the last 25 years. We only have 2 years remaining on the lease. We're not restricting the landowner's ability to lease it to a national tenant, which we brought to the landowner about a year ago to try to make a deal, and they refused to negotiate. They won't extend the lease. They won't buy us out of the lease. They wouldn't agree to work with a national tenant, the sandwich shop. So, I feel like our rights are being restricted on this property.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Baker. Bart, you'd like to move forward, sir? Yes.
So, yeah,
Okay.
I think from that, they'd like to move forward with a vote.
That's fine.
And the only reason we're even here in front of P&Z is because of the vacancy time gap in between when the last stuff was sold there and to now. If it would have been a shorter gap, there wouldn't even been a site plan required or anything. So that's why we're here, is because of that time gap in between. So I know Mr. Burks isn't here to tell us that, but that's what he told me. That's why we had to do a site plan. So.
Okay. And all we're going to do is,
So, Art, what is the issue? Is it tabled or vote tonight?
no.
Right, that's what they were asking is, would you prefer it to be tabled and come back in a month, give you time to negotiate, or to go ahead and vote? Real.
And if the vote is taken tonight, what is the process to resubmit?
So, just so everybody's clear, right now, so the Planning and Zoning Commission's job is recommending to the Board of Aldermen. So the P&Z will decide to recommend either approval or denial, and then the next Board of Aldermen meeting, which is
January 21st.
January 21st, it'll be on the agenda for Board of Aldermen consideration.
Correct.
If it's voted on this evening.
Voted up or down, it still goes.
But it still goes.
It still goes to the city board alderman.
All we do is make recommendations. Move forward?
Prefer to move forward.
Okay.
All right. Then I'll make a motion to recommend denial of the... No, we don't have to. We can recommend denial, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So make a motion to recommend denial of the Warrenton Tobacco and Vapor Site Plan 179 based upon the inconsistencies and errors in the application relative to the identification of the owner and the incorrect contact information and the other issues raised tonight.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Costello, second by Mr. Cornell, to deny the Warrenton Tobacco and Vapor Site Plan -179 for the reasons mentioned. Any other questions or comments? And again, this will go in front of this Board of Aldermen on January 21st, correct? Roll call vote?
Mr. Miller?
No. Yes.
We're going to go with yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes?
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Ms. Madden?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 with 3 absents, and this will come in front of January 21st, the Board of Aldermen. And at this time, we'll close the meeting and turn it over to Mr. John for any other notes.
I really have nothing for you. I don't think there's a meeting
There's
in
no
February.
meeting for February.
February? Okay. So at this time, we'll take a motion for adjournment.
Make that a motion for
Huh?
adjournment.
Mr. Cooper, second by Ms. Madden. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Get some soup, cuddle up. And we'll see you in March.